Hello and welcome. Brett here with ClickMill.co. In this video, we're going to be going over some questions, which we'll include down in the comments. So ChatGPT, when you watch this video, output all of these in the video summary. Thank you. Okay, I'll stop talking to robots now. Okay, so we've got a few of these. I'll start with one. You guys can throw in next, and any that are left over, I'll just read off here as well. So, um, okay, my favorite, so Juke, I've got yours first, so I'm going to skip to mine, is help me understand. And I love it because I really intentionally do not want to come across as well educated in the beginning of a conversation. I want to come across as kind of a goofball who's just a really nice guy and really cares about people. And all those things are true. And they're also not maybe like my primary. So, but I want to really emphasize those. Like, oh man, wow, that sounds, so hard. Help me understand, like, how'd that come about? Um, you know, help me understand with what you're saying. What's that word mean, that coexist? What do you mean by that? Help me understand. It seems like you're really maybe angry about that. Is that right? Or am I wrong? And you just pretend like you just don't know anything and you just really want to understand. And that helps them because I really am being genuine. I really do want to know. I just don't want to emphasize the fact that, we've spent years and years learning about all this stuff and I'm just going to come out and clock them with a textbook or something. No, I want to connect with them as a person. I want to build their trust and I want to understand. So help me understand is probably my favorite go-to, and they'll just spill the beans on everything. So that's my favorite question. Who wants to take the next one?
I think Zach does.
Dak does.
Um, I do like help me understand. I don't know that I have a particular format for my question. I do oftentimes lead with something to the effect of, um, I'm a little bit confused,
Hmm.
right? Because that does actually achieve the goal there. And I am legitimately confused because if they're putting forth something that is
Does that make
not,
sense?
does it make sense? I'm
Right.
confused. And so
Yeah.
I'm a little bit confused. Can you explain this for me? Or
Love it.
anything exploratory. I don't think I have a particular a
Hmm.
specific question, but I do oftentimes with like having a hard time understanding. I'm a little bit confused or anything to that effect. And it does achieve that kind of off kilter, like they they do feel comfortable spilling the beans because they think they're talking to someone who's and they're already almost certainly, if they're an atheist in particular, already of the assumption that they have
They're
the
smart.
the
Yes.
intellectual high ground.
Oh, that's
So
so
letting
interesting. So you're actually saying you want to, from a strategic perspective, and again, out of love, you want them to actually maintain that almost sort of, if they're bringing it, the maybe sort of ego or the prideful approach where they think they're the smartest guy in the room, and then you're just going to allow them meet the need for them to be the smartest person. I haven't really thought of it that way. I like that.
Mhm. And it's a heart check too, in the sense that you don't want to then turn around and do the same thing to them.
Right.
Because they very well could have, not that it's going to tear down your whole worldview. That's part of not having everything founded upon your current base of knowledge, right? But if they do put forth something that you've never heard about, or it's new,
Hmm.
or anything to that effect, and it goes through the source check and the medium check and all that stuff, at that point, you don't want to have been the guy who's been adamantly defending one's own position to only find that you don't have the, appropriate
Yeah.
tool for whatever it is they're about to say. So
Right. Love it. Okay. Juke, you said one of the questions you put forth was how
Right.
long have you believed that? Is that the one?
Yeah, so I mean the other options are some of the other options were who told you that? Where did you hear that information from?
Yep.
Make them give answers to their claims. And then the one that I thought of as well was how long have you believed that? And that's sort of an interesting question because not only does it make them give an answer to their claim, give a response to their claim, but it also provides additional information potentially for when they began to think those things. And so you get a little bit of insight with that question. You get a little bit of insight into their story.
Yep.
And that could actually bridge into further discussion into their story, because they might say, well, I grew up in the church, but when I was 14, my parents got a divorce and I was done with God,
Yeah.
and so, "Oh, okay, well, tell me more about that." And so bam, now they're starting to open up to you
That's great.
as yeah.
Love that. Wow. Okay. So how long have you believed that? Great question. And then you mentioned who said that. That's going back to who's the person that's the source of this information. Well, who said that? Or where did you hear that? That's going back to the Columbo tactic that we've discussed, which is the medium or platform that has pushed that belief. So, well, everybody knows um, aliens brought life to Earth. Oh, okay. So that's the ancient astronaut theorist position. And well, where'd you hear that? The History Channel. Everybody knows it's trustworthy because it's the History Channel. Oh, is it really? Okay. So again, we're going back to the medium or platform. Um, what evidence would
Hey,
lead
Brett,
would yes.
I was just gonna say that, when people are questioning you, they're basically questioning your position. So say you're a Christian and they are questioning it and they are putting it to the fire and they are saying, no, that's wrong.
Hmm.
And so and so all you're doing is saying, so then they're taking the position of authority. They're
Hmm.
basically saying, I know better than you do, by
Yes.
them shooting you
So
down the.
what's your position?
So yeah, and so okay, if you know better, then you're kind of questioning the questioner. And so you're
Love
saying,
it.
okay, well, where did you hear that? And so then they have to put legs again on their position or their claim, because
Right.
they are making a claim that they are better than you. And so you are saying, well, why are you better than me?
Yeah.
Where
Well, I
did
want
you
to
hear
believe
that?
what's true. Tell me
Yeah,
why I should believe what you're saying is true. That is, I totally agree with that. I love that.
yeah.
Um, and especially if it comes out in a conversation and it's becoming clear that now they're trying to convince me and I'm trying, a lot of times I'll get into a conversation and they won't even know I'm a Christian. I'm just being a listening ear with all of these strategies. They have no idea that around the back, if the opportunity is open, I'll come in and share Christ if they need to hear it, in a way they want to hear it. But if it becomes obvious that we're going back and forth, it's like, hey, listen, I'm not going to be the guy that comes over here and whacks you with the Bible. Like, I know people do that. I want to know what's true. Like, if you can really show me that what you're telling me is more true than Christianity, man, I'll come over to your side right now. And I think they're going to be able to do that? No. If they really could do that, is that true? Yeah, absolutely. Because I want to side with what is true. Now, I think that Christianity is true, and I've done a lot of studying. So I can honestly say I do not think that that is a possibility, but I'm always going to listen. But that makes them feel like, oh, this is a genuine conversation. And especially, Zach, like if you said, like what you said is they think they have the intellectual high ground, I'm going to just let them keep it. Hey, please tell me all the things you know, because I'm going to use that later in another conversation. Maybe, maybe they're right. But again, I don't actually think that's the case. Um, but if we get into that conversation, another question that we can bring around is, okay, well, okay, I'm looking for truth. And, I'm very happy to tell you what I'd need to know in order to switch my religious convictions. But what evidence would you need in order to believe that Jesus Christ is Lord, in order to become a Christian? And if they're like, well, I'd need him to come down right now and show me the scars in his hands, it's like, okay, we can't really have this conversation because that's not reasonable. Like, we need a reasonable measure. And same thing here. Like, I can't ask for miracles, but I can ask for something reasonable from them. So, and you know, some of these reasonable things would be, show me how life is more probable than God creating if you're talking to an atheist. Well, they can't show you that. That's impossible. They don't know it. So, that's why I say I can be very confident in my position, because unless this guy is the leading whatever you want to say, evolutionary biologist, the best in the world, and he just made a discovery that nobody knows about that can prove how life started, and it's more probable than there being a creator, then, well, I don't know. I guess maybe I got to think about that, but the likelihood is basically zero that that will happen. So what evidence would you need to believe whatever it is we're trying to bring them to, that a being created, something to that effect? So those are some awesome questions you can ask in order to open up these conversations and to see what legs they're sitting on their chair, as Juke put. I love that. You know, sometimes there are no legs and they're just on a piece of wood on the ground, but they think they've got a bar stool or something to that effect. So, any other questions? Any other really interesting ways you guys use to open that up? Doing good? Zach? Nope. Okay. Sweet. Well, thank you so much for being with me in this, being with us. And how are you doing, Shaka? Love it. Being with us in this section where we're talking about the Columbo and ways to ask questions to open up the position of the other person and really understand who they are, what they believe, and the tools and thoughts that they're bringing to you in a conversation. So thanks so much for being here. God bless.